Makes you wanna go. Makes you wanna go. Na 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 na. Makes you wanna go.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody today?
Doing well. How are you?
Just fine.
I am good. Thank you for coming today. Mickey G, I
Sure.
appreciate it very much.
Of course.
And you, Mr. Lynnfred Smith, for joining us today. We appreciate it very much.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, we're going to cheer. Yay!
Right.
There we go. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming back today to watch Gab with Goldnbronze. We do appreciate it. We have with us today an author, Mr. Lynnfred Smith, who is a new out-of-the-gate author who found himself fascinated with music, science, and history as a child. He was born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and graduated from Flint Northern High School in 1978. Lynnfred joined the United States Navy and served as an aviation structural mechanic for an F-4 Phantom fighter squadron aboard the USS Independence CV-62. He also spent time in the U.S. Army Reserves. While working as a flight attendant for a well-known airline, Lynnfred, who is also a musician, produced a light contemporary jazz CD in 2013 entitled 7. In the last few years, he would delve into historical events that mainly included human accomplishments and is also drawn to historical documentaries. His concerns about current events and the outcomes took a front seat in his heart. In June of 2019, he suddenly became thrusted into writing the first of a series of novels, starting with the book, I think he called it Marine. In August 2020, and 3/4 into writing that book, Lynnfred diverted his time to write the book Narratives as a preparation book to the upcoming Marine series. Lynnfred loves spending quality time with his wife, Stephanie, and hanging out with his children and grandchildren. He also has a love for trains and other hobbies such as modeling, model buildings, and installing ceramic floors and backsplashes. And again, thank you, Lynnfred, for joining us on Gab with Goldnbronze.
You're very welcome.
Listen, is there anything you would like to say before we start asking you questions?
Well, I would like to start to say that it's all revolves about why I do what I do. I write the books that I write to provide an unfiltered approach to what threatens our existence. That's basically what I do. And I write for both men and women between the ages of 35 and 65 who are passionate about social justice and change. Now, unlike other authors in my genre, I write science fiction based on true events to illustrate the possibilities of our future if society continues to go down the path it is currently on at this time when it comes to racial injustices and inequalities.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So I noticed that you started writing. Now, I probably said the name of the series incorrectly. Can you tell us what it is?
Yes, it's pronounced Mahrin. It has a roll of the tongue and right after the A.
Mahrin.
Yes.
Does it mean anything specifically?
Yes, it's actually the name of a princess a fictional princess who is actually a descendant of different Egyptian gods and queens and whoever like that. And it turns out that her father happened to be the first negus of the city that was then named after her because she was also an architect. So I just took that name and it just felt like it needed to be a part of something bigger. So it's kind of like Marine itself, the city is sort of reminiscent of Wakanda from the Marvel series. So it's my own way of giving our culture a city that we could say, hey, this is ours too, like that. So it doesn't have
Okay.
to come from any other place.
Okay, so I was reading your bio and it says that you took a pause in the beginning of writing Marin
Hmm.
to write narratives.
Yes.
And why was that? And tell everyone why you took that pause there before you completed
Well,
that first book.
okay, well, to put a point on narratives, I started writing narratives after an event that took place back in 2019 with a young man by the name of Jacob Blake. He was a young man in Kenosha that was shot in the back 7 times by a police officer. And it was of that event that his mother had spoke up in an interview, I believe it was with MSNBC, that she had said these words that America will be great when it behaves great. And it was from that point right there that things started to churn in me when it comes to the injustices and things like that. And I just got led to write narratives to put a point on how do we fit in with the U.S. Constitution where it says we are, we the people. So it's to me, from the way it looks, it just doesn't seem like it covers everybody as it's supposed to. So I just ran away with that. And narratives is the word that I would use to demonstrate the reason why racism consistently goes on, and it goes through everything from stereotypes to stories that are not necessarily true, but there are things that are said about our particular culture that continues that trauma of racism that we all are experiencing even to this day.
It's other people's narratives, and to sum it up, it is what you feel like those narratives create our current day society of
Yes,
racism. Is that correct?
exactly. And as long as they are sustained through microaggressions and just certain statements, and also when it's put through the media, which pretty much explodes the whole thing. It's what keeps this thing churning. So the idea is to attack the racism itself.
All right. Well, thank you for that explanation, and we will be right back. Thank you, everyone, for returning to Gab with Golden Bronze. Okay, Mickey G.
Okay, so Lynnfred,
Yes.
when you were writing Mahrim, you were starting with a particular point, but when Jacob Blake was shot, you took that pause and you wrote narratives. What was before that incident? What were you writing before in Mahrim that before you got the Jacob Blake portion?
Well, I was never a writer in the first place. However, my wife Stephanie had experienced an event in her while she was at work, and of course it was a series of microaggressions she went through. And so one day she came home and she was very upset. And so what had happened is it affected me. Of course, it's going to affect your husband, so it definitely affected me. So I was angry. I was very, very angry about what happened to her. And so I went to bed that same day, and then the next morning I woke up as if I could hear the Holy Spirit saying, "Hey, listen, I got something for you to do." And he said, "I want you to write a book." I'm like, "Oh, wait, hold on. I don't know how to write books. I've never done it before." But he just told me to be quiet and I'm going to show you what to do. And so it turned out that I had to find a subject to work on. So he wanted me to work on racism. Like, okay, so where do I start? And then there's an author that I was always influenced by the name of Clive Cussler. In the way he wrote his books, and I'm an avid fan of him. He's now passed on, but I was an avid, I like the way he wrote his books, and so I said, well, let me do my reign the same way. Let me start the way he would have done it, and so with the book, this is my reign, and it's about 400 something pages long. So it's a novel, and the novel will be featured is now featured on in Barnes and Nobles and Amazon. You can get it on either one of the two, or any one, actually any one of the book you know uh, websites, whatever. Anyway, it took that incident to get me to start writing. And as I was writing, the story just kept coming to me, and then I wrote it from the past, and then I made it jump to the future, and then from the future perspective, I had to talk about what's happening now. However, as I said in my as I had stated earlier, I decided to add science fiction into it, and so to make it more interesting. But a lot of the things that I put in all of my books are do feature things that are real events, real places, and sometimes often real people. So that whole uh, job of doing this became more and more interesting. So I just kept writing it. So I have these first two books, narratives here, and of course, like I said, Mahrim. Behind them, and I'm presently writing Mahrim, Civil War, which reflects on what we're going through right now. And then in the future, there's another book that I have that I've already started putting notes into that's called Mahrim Retribution, which is, I'm sorry, not Retribution, but oh goodness, I forgot the word, but I know what I'm saying. But it's based in the year 2185. So, as you can see, the story extends across time. It just moves from one thing to another, but it's not about time travel. It's just about how the story moves through time and how the effects of what we've experienced right now moves through time along with it. But like I said, it comes with a rather science fiction caveat that involves an extinction level event.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
I've attempted to write books and didn't get much further than the first page, but the way that you structured it,
Mhm.
I'm curious about your process. Does it just
Mhm.
come to you as you're writing? Are you just writing and it's just flowing, or do you structure it a certain way, maybe like that other author used to write the books?
Well, it's I structure things through notations that I put down. When the ideas come to my mind, I just put it in notes and like that. And then I would go in and expound on the notes to myself. How do you make this fit into the entire story? And so the things that you find in narratives, you're going to find in the main book, because the main book itself is actually the source book. Things that you find that you're going to find coming from the next book, which is Mahrim Civil War, which I'm writing right now. It is there's parts from that book that's from the main book that will also involve narratives. So it's a whole bunch of stuff on it, but it also brings up real life people who will actually be, who I will put words in their mouth, if you will, that will well, it'll be, of course, a good taste. But the thing is that these people will actually be speaking that you actually, see every day. You might see the president talking. You might see a senator talking. You might see someone that you know that, like myself, talking in the story. So those are things. That's how I make the books that much more interesting. But again, it's always to bring home the central point of how the injustices and the racism and all of these crazy things that are going in our life are going on, but
So,
also it also provides ways to try to work with it, how to get it to diminish in some kind of ways. There's another author that I want to make reference to. His name is Resmond Menike, and he's the man that wrote a book called My Grandmother's Hands. And in that book, he talks about generational traumas, and a lot of that, a lot of his ideas are incorporated in the books I'm writing as well. So it helps to try to understand why I'm writing it, and to also be able to enjoy the story when you're reading it.
so you mentioned that with her that you just start writing. Do you use an outline? Do you sit down before you ever start writing and do
Yes,
your outline? Like, okay.
yes, it's
Um,
important to have that.
okay. How did you become interested in writing about historical events of all the things that you could write about? I know you like history, but what really drew you to that specific brand?
Well, again, I'm interested in. I like science fiction for one thing, but at the same time, I like how history, and history itself runs. It runs in what I assume is a loop. We find ourselves repeating the same things over and over and over again. So that got my interest, and it's because of that. It's one of the main one main things I put in place to be able to write the books. Write this book, Mahrain.
So it's interesting that, well, first of all, how long did it take you to write that 480 some page novel?
It took me 2 years to write that book.
2 years. And do you
Narratives.
anticipate it to take that long for the next one?
Yes, it does, because again, it's the books. The way I write my books, I write them very detailed, so that when you're reading the book, it would be as if you're actually watching a movie in your head.
Yes.
That's how I do it.
Be right back, everybody. All right, everybody. Thank you for returning. So, Mr. Smith, I know in another conversation that we had before, you mentioned that Marin is from 56 AD to 2059. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the book itself, in the main book, it starts out. The whole story starts out in the year 56 AD, just a few years after Jesus was crucified, and a major event took place to the city itself, to Mahrain, and from at the end of that first chapter, it goes to the second chapter, which makes the story jump up to the year 2059. In 2059, there are things that's being discussed about 2022 and everything, because again, another catastrophe takes place in 2022 that is being looked at from the future. So the story is being told from the perspective of the people in the future.
So basically, what catastrophes occurred in 2022 other than some weather events?
Well, again, this is a science fiction, so
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in reality. I was like, did I
not in
sleep on
reality.
that?
Believe me, if it was like that, we wouldn't probably be talking right now. But it
All
was that
right, all
bad.
right.
But it was an extinction level event in a fictional in a fictional story in the year 2022. So people in the year 2059 is looking back at that extinction level event that took place and how we were able to come through it, where then you still have people in 2059 to be able to talk about it. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's how that works.
Oh, great. So I understand you wrote a book called Secrets in the Sleep, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, it's
Okay.
it just came out in October. So I have to say that this is probably one of my favorite writings because of the nature of the book, because it deals with um, um, a woman who has just come out of a very bad situation. Okay, she was involved in domestic violence, so she went to a city that's actually a real city that's in Arizona. It's called Jerome, and Jerome is known for being a ghost town. So, my wife and I had recently went up there to visit, and I just got this inspiration to write a story from that. And as I said before, this book also involves people that actually live there. But this lady, she gets there and she's getting her life together, and all of a sudden things start happening that's totally unexplainable to her. In fact, it terrifies her. But it's a mystery that just gets more and more interesting as the story goes on, and then it comes to a particular type uh, resolve that will probably make a person think of their faith and knowing that things can still work out even though it looks really bad.
Very interesting. So, what was the inspiration for that book? Was it just the trip that you and your wife took to Jerome?
It actually it came through an experience with my wife, something my wife went through. We stayed at the Jerome Hotel. It's a beautiful hotel up there, and it's supposed to be haunted. It's a former medical hospital, basically, and it's supposed to be haunted. So we decided we wanted to spend the night there. Actually, I did. I kind of dragged her into it. So we went up there and spent one night, and just that one night we stayed there, I didn't hear anything because I was dead asleep. Dead sleep. Oh, anyway, um, she of course said she heard sounds in the night. She woke me up and said, "Do you hear anything?" I said, "I haven't heard anything." So her hair was standing on end. I was cool. I was no problem. We left there, and I said, "I think I'm gonna write a story."
Yeah,
so
you couldn't drag me to a haunted hotel.
Well, the thing, I've always been interested in things. That's just me. Crazy, strange things have always interested me. So that's just me. And so when it came down to writing Secrets in the Sleep, again, I had to do notations and good stuff like that, and talk to people that live there and say, "Listen, I would like to ask if you don't mind if I can have you as a character in my book." And they said, "Absolutely, yes." And so when they give me the permission to do it, I went ahead and wrote their names down and their telephone numbers and said, "Well, I'm gonna contact you when this thing is done." So I did that, and now they're in the book,
And it's fiction.
and it's fiction.
So where does this imagination come from to write a fiction? You have to have a vivid
Um,
imagination.
I guess that's probably what goes on in this little head up here. I just sit down and I think of things that some people probably wouldn't think of, and I just run with it because I believe that when things are put in your heart, and they are something that will probably emulate something that's good, that means to go to the good, then you want to probably sit down and say, "Let me take notes, let me write it out and everything, and see if I can create something from it." And that's what I do. I just simply look at things and just say, "This is what I like, and I want to put it together and make it work."
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So, are you typically a journaler?
Oh, what?
Do you typically journal everyday
Um,
kind of things?
Yeah, I what I do is I collect a lot of data on different events, even things that you find that's statistical, and everything is kept a track of. So every time there's a lot of the things that I get that are factual are things that I get from different videos that I see, and I use those ideas from the videos to create the context into the story itself, or content into the story. And then I write them down in notations. And as I'm writing the book, I'll go to the notes and I'll look and see, okay, this is say 2A. Let me put 2A where this particular chapter is, and then make it run from there. That's what I do for this particular series, because it's such a big series, and like I said, it extends over time, so I have to make it work right. However, events that take place in the future are just simply guesses. They are they are things that are possible, but do we really want to go there? Can they actually happen? And if they do happen, I can say, "Well, hey, yeah, I figured it out already." But
Mhm.
that's the whole idea of letting the mind just move where it wants to move. But at the same time, try to always keep it in the content that it needs to be in for the story itself. That's how I try to do it.
Wow, that's something. And when I was asking about you journaling, just
Mhm.
journaling for yourself, just writing down what happened in the day. And
Mhm.
do you ever take those notes and say, I could put this into something. I could add this to a book, something that
Okay,
happened.
I'm glad you asked that question. It just so happens in Mahrim, the main book, I had took a part of something that happened to me, and I put it.
We will have to come right back in just a few minutes. Pay the bills. All right, everybody. Thank you for returning to Gab with Golden Bronze. We do appreciate it. So, Linfred, you were explaining what's behind your style of writing.
Okay. Yeah. As I was trying to finish this out by saying that a lot of the information that I get from, of course, from what you see on the in video, or anything that's been studied and checked, is so that I can make sure that it fits into wherever I can fit it into the story. So, and as I said earlier, there was a incident that happened to me when I used to work for the airline industry, that I included in the book, but I kind of changed it up a little bit because I didn't want it to sound like it's disparaging anyone in that area, but I wanted to make sure I got my point across. So, but but like I said, the information that I get from what I know is true, and then I just incorporate it into the book. So if you read the book, you're going to see that you're going to see things that came from certain areas that actually did happen, and you can actually look on a map and see a certain place that I've probably talked about, and it's at that spot. Like say, for instance, there's a McDonald's in St. Louis. It's on this particular street. Well, it's in the book. It tells you exactly where this place is. So that's how I work that.
Okay. So, how many hours uh, a day do you think you put into writing?
It again, it varies. Sometimes I come in here and I come in just to put the notes in, write the notes that come to my mind. Then I'll walk out of my office, but then I'll come in and I can spend hours in here. I've done, I think, a total of 12 hours at one point, just to try to get one chapter to work to get, where it flows better. Which I'm going to say this about, again, the Maharain series. It's to be read like you're watching a movie. And that's where when you're sitting and you're reading, you can see what I'm saying. You could feel what I'm saying. You can experience what the characters are going through because you know they're actually going through things that can actually happen. And that's I wanted my audience or my readers to be able to feel the story, to see it in their heads, and that way they can say they've experienced Mahrim, they've experienced the character, the lead character, Professor Tuan Rashani. They can feel what he felt through the things that he went through with his family while trying to live through the course of that particular book.
So, how many books have you written total?
So far, I've written 2 for the Mahrim series, and then Secrets in the Sleep. And that's not just it. For the Mahrim series, I've also written, and I haven't yet published them, the character backgrounds or the backstories to at least 2 of the characters right now that's in the book. One character's name is Ekdom. He's somebody that you will probably find very interesting. And he's actually one of the antagonists in the book. And also one of my protagonists' her name is Tashira. Tashira, as a matter of fact, if you could focus here, this would be Tashira here. This is her. And this guy up here with the glowing eyes up there, that's Ekdom. Okay. And so when you look at these people, just looking at the characters should tell you how this story goes, because it's unreal how this all came to me the way it did. And I'm proud of how it did.
Go ahead and finish your statement.
Okay. I'm looking for this thing to get picked up, maybe by somebody that can help do a movie for it. I'm like, yeah, let's do this if that ever happens.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for taking the time out, and they can buy your books at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and where else?
Also, you can also go to my website, lynnfredsmith.com, which will take you, again, if you don't go directly to those 2 sites, it will help you to get to where you need to go.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming on. I tell you, we love authors. We love books. I'm an avid reader. Mikki says she reads as well. So I've been reading for a lot of years. I gave away a whole bunch of books. I'm going to try to get yours. I think I'm going to get Secrets in the Sleep first, since that's about domestic violence, and that's what our platform is all about. Golden Swan Cadre. That is my nonprofit, which advocates against domestic violence. Yes. And so we'll get into that later on, audience. My co-host will further talk about that, and so will I. But in the meantime, I just want to say that's the book that I'm going to buy first. I'm very, very glad that you came and joined us. I want everyone to come back here tomorrow, same place, same time. I promise you, we will have another great guest or a terrific topic, which is me and Mikki G gabbing about it. That's what we do. And we welcome you to come right back here tomorrow. Thank you. Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.